What's going on, YouTube? Thank you for joining us After Dark yet again for another episode. Look, I was doing some Bible study today, right? Today we were reading Proverbs, right? I was reading Proverbs. I was reading chapter 18, and I was super invested in this chapter, right? Because there was something I was going through personally, right? And I want to talk a little bit about it. I want to be super transparent with you guys, and I want to read what I've taken notes on so far, as well as read further and allow us to do a Bible study together to try to read and comprehend what it's trying to tell us, right? So allow me to start with my own personal story. Now, when I was younger, around the age of 16 years old, right? Just for reference, I'm 19 years old currently. Around the age of 15, 16 years old is when I started my self-improvement journey, right? Started actually honing in and trying my best to really grow as a person. And I think I really did a great job of doing that over the years, right? Now, as you guys know, this is a never-ending journey, but at the time, what I thought the best way to do that was to isolate myself, to completely grow away from the people around me, and to isolate myself and to spend as much time alone as possible. To avoid, I avoided a lot of human interaction. I stayed in the house. I stayed away from people. I didn't talk to a lot of people. I lost a lot of social skills, right? And I regained those social skills and communication skills, but there was one thing that has yet to leave me that I didn't know was haunting me, and I'm now realizing that is a big flaw of mine. And I think in doing so, in the self improvement journey that I went on, I developed a little bit of an ego that I didn't know I had until literally recently. I mean, recent as in days ago. Days ago, I came to this realization that I had a ego weighing in the back of my mind that I wasn't even aware of. An ego that prevented me from interacting socially with others. An ego that prevented me from making certain connections. An ego that made me look at people differently in a way that I don't want to look at people, right? So let me break it down even further. I think this ego comes from me spending so much time working on myself and growing as a person, right? When you spend so much time by yourself, working on yourself, you learn a lot about yourself. There isn't anything about me that somebody can tell me that I don't already know. That's not true. See, that even a little bit of the ego peeked out there when I said that. That's not true. You see how it's a work in progress. You got to be able to realize things. That was a very ego thing for me to say. That's not true. I'm sure there's definitely people who could tell me things about myself that I don't already know. But I've spent so much time working on myself that I'm very well informed of what kind of person I am, what are my flaws, what are my weaknesses and my strengths. So you see, I caught myself real time, so you know I'm not lying when I talk about this journey of mine. So basically, the focus is that there was an ego laying in the back of my mind that I wasn't even fully aware of. This ego has prevented me from making a lot of relationships, right? And that is why it's becoming a problem, is because I realized I was struggling to connect with others simply because of this ego laying in the back of my mind. This ego that maybe I'm better than these people because of how much time I spent working on myself and growing myself. That my mind is shaped so differently and my mind is so developed that I can't even stand to have a conversation with some of these people. I can't even stand to speak to some of these people. And that's a very bad thing. And I didn't know that until recently. Prior to now, I thought that I was doing myself a very good thing by protecting my energy, right? Protecting myself from people who could potentially bring me down or potentially ruin my mind or whatever the case may be. I thought that was the problem. But I have a deeper understanding now, and I want to share some of that with you today, right? First, by saying that it comes, one of the things boils down to strength, right? Strength as an individual. If I know I'm confident in myself, right? Confident that the work that I put in, right? Confident in the wisdom that God has provided me through his word and through my actions, right? If I have the strength, I should be able to combat the enemy or anybody trying to come into my circle and destroy me. I should be able to combat that through a force that's kind of not physical, right? I should be able to combat that through the wisdom that I have. I should be able to push them away in ways that don't cause me to, I guess, sacrifice what I have built. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I shouldn't have to avoid interaction with these people, but rather I should have the strength within to not allow them to destroy me if I allow them in.